Hey all, my name's Michael, welcome to the channel, and we're going to be getting into some 4chan stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's begin. Be me, a 28-year-old software engineer named Dex. I married my college sweetheart Luna 6 months ago. We met at a hackathon and bonded over bad coffee and obscure anime references. Life was smooth AF with morning cuddles, late night coding sessions, and weekend D&D. Last weekend, I decided to surprise her by cleaning the house from top to bottom. While tidying the laundry pile, I found her laptop open to the recently deleted folder. Curiosity engaged, and I clicked it. There it was, a dozen nude photos of her with some random guy, time-stamped last month. My heart dropped through my feet into sub-zero mode. I scrolled more and found amateurish video clips like she had recorded herself. The next file was a screenshot of a Reddit chat, someone talking about last night was insane. Mind blown, stomach in knots, I stepped away from the laptop, breathing like I had run a marathon uphill. I decided a confrontation was best and shot her a text. We need to talk ASAP. She was in yoga class and ignored me for 2 hours. Finally, she came home sipping herbal tea in our IKEA-furnished living room. She tried to smile, but I couldn't meet her eyes. I spilled the files on the coffee table and watched her freeze mid-sip. "What is this?" My voice cracked. She closed her eyes and went pale like Ghostface from Scream. "Dex, I can explain." She faltered. My brain screamed, "Explain? You're literally explaining yourself out of existence." She admitted to sleeping with multiple men, but refused to name them. She called it a compulsion, a problem, and promised she loved me. Tears streamed everywhere, but she couldn't answer who, when, or where. My face when she said, "I don't know why I did it." My face when I realized that my trust was vaporized. I told her I needed space. She got down on her knees, begged me to stay, and called me my rock. I left the apartment for my buddy's place and crashed on his couch, dreams full of pixelated betrayals. The next morning, I decided to investigate on my own. I called my IT-savvy brother who cloned her hard drive. The disk image looked suspicious AF. I found her browsing fetish forums with threads called Married Cucks and Alpha Takeover. My guts turned inside out. Researching alpha takeover threads, I realized these creeps fetishize humiliating married guys. One thread titled Luna's Last Night Dump had replies praising her skill. She was bragging, sharing, trading content. I felt like a side character in her sick social experiment. I planned to confront her again and found her making pancakes in the kitchen. "I found more," I said, voice monotone. Her face went blank and the spatula hit the floor. She looked at me like I was a ghost. "Oh shit," she whispered, eyes wet. She blamed postpartum depression despite having no children, work stress, and boredom. She spat apologies faster than a malfunctioning motor. I offered couples therapy. She nodded vigorously and said, "Yes, please." We signed up with a local counselor. In our first session, she sobbed while I nodded, and the counselor asked questions. She said she felt empty and sought validation through sex, not thinking of me as a real person. In the second session, she performed emotional gymnastics, blaming trauma from a college breakup. I questioned every moment of affection we'd shared. Was it real or performance art? Months passed as we attended weekly therapy. I felt more broken and numb. Friends told me to just leave her, family urged divorce her, and self-help podcasts preached forgive and forget. I was confusion overload. I created dummy accounts and messaged the Reddit user who bragged about cam sessions and extra pay per download, inviting me to join the fun. Furious, I traced the IP to a sketchy cam studio in another state. I realized that Luna had been moonlighting as a cam model under the alias Silver Nova. The worst betrayal, she wasn't just cheating, she had built a whole secret life. My face when I realized that my wife had been living 2 lives and I had discovered both meticulously. My face when I realized I'd been talking to half my smartphone owner's manual. The last straw came when I found receipts for a burner phone and sex toys shipped to her office locker. All signs pointed to long-term deception. I sat at my desk staring into an empty whiskey glass, tears staining my lips. I wrote my resignation at work because I couldn't focus. My boss thought I was burning out. I drafted divorce papers but stalled signing them because I wanted closure. One night, she sneaked into my apartment using a spare key and left an envelope on the kitchen island. Inside was a tear-stained apology letter and a ticket for a weekend couples retreat at a cabin in the mountains called Second Chances. I felt torn between curiosity and spite. I checked retreat reviews, mostly glowing about healing, but some 1-star warnings about cult vibes. I spent hours weighing pros and cons, staring at my wedding ring and the emptiness next to it. I decided to go, not for reconciliation, but for closure. I drove 3 hours to the cabin as the mountains glowed in sunset. I met the retreat leader who called himself a Guru Atlas, dressed in all black linen with a disarming smile. The couple's circle began with crying, chanting, and burning sage. Luna was already kneeling in the center with others, tears streaming down her face. She mouthed, "I'm sorry," and I could only nod, my voice stuck in my throat. The activity was to share betrayal stories in the circle. Other couples recounted minor slights like, "I kissed the barista." Then Luna detailed her full saga, cams, hookups, and addictions. The group expressed empathy. Guru Atlas placed his hand on her shoulder and proclaimed, "You are reborn." She wept in relief. I felt like a sideshow spectacle, my wounds used as therapy fodder. The next day, I had a one-on-one session with a Guru Atlas. "Forgive and transcend," he urged. "Return to love." He handed me a heart-shaped crystal for healing. I pocketed it out of politeness but felt heavier than before. At the final circle, couples held hands and repeated, "Love is stronger than betrayal." Luna looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I love you, Dex." My brain ran beep boop loaded forgiveness. I ripped my heart out, waved it in the air, and threw it into the fireplace. I stormed out of the cabin at dawn, leaving early and half of her stuff in the closet. I drove home in stunned silence, the crystal glinting on the passenger seat. Back at our empty house, I did laundry, poured coffee, and set life on neutral. Weeks later, I heard the retreat was investigated as a cult, and Guru Atlas was arrested for fraud. News reports revealed that Silver Nova was a marketing stunt for the retreat, using cam photos without consent. My betrayal had been bait for profit. The whole thing was a con. My face when I realized too late that I had been a mark in her con, the retreat's con, and a cultish self-help con. I had lost 6 months, thousands of dollars, and what little self-respect remained. I decided to dive back into coding and started a night project called TrustGuard, an anti-cheat-proof app. I spent nights debugging, lines of code became therapy. I met up with my old college buddy Mia at a local arcade bar. She had always had a crush on me and was supportive AF, buying me nachos and never judging. I realized that genuine care didn't require secret lives, drama, or burner phones. I invited her to beta test my app. She said yes without hesitation. I felt warmth in my chest, not tied to betrayal. I started small, coffee meetups with friends, random hikes, and open mic nights. I learned jazz guitar basics, stumbling through chords but feeling alive. I joined a local rowing club, synchronizing strokes with teammates and forging real connections. I discovered cooking as an outlet, burnt risotto and oversalted stew, but it was mine. There were no hidden cameras, no burner phones, just honest mistakes. I posted my story anonymously with warnings like, "Don't be a mark," and "Close old tabs." The thread exploded with anon sharing horror stories and solidarity vibes. Some urged legal action, others recommended therapy, and some just memed. I felt less alone surfing the waves of outrage and empathy. Months later, Luna tried texting me "I miss you" from a burner account, which I blocked instantly. My face when my ex materializes like a cursed pop-up ad. I laughed at the absurdity, deleted thread notifications, and focused on real life. 6 months after the crash, TrustGuard launched on the app stores, modest but meaningful. I received fan mail from people rebuilding trust after betrayals. I realized my pain had become purpose, turning ashes into code. My face when I'm Dex 2.1 is stronger, scarred, but shipping versions of myself. I stay off Reddit threads about cheating, but keep an eye on B for support. I never use spare keys again, delete burner numbers, and shred every nude photo. I learned that trust is built line by line, not snapshot by snapshot. Be me, Dex 3.0, compiling self-worth into a stable release. My face when I'll ghost betrayal before it ghosts me next time.